AI is also the future of learning. And today we also talk about how to learn AI, how important it is to learn AI. AI as a thought partner, which is a great term. And for this, we go and ask Greg Schoff about Section. He is CEO of a learning firm that focuses on AI learning. They have over 30 AI classes, and now they roll out even a new AI supported learning model, which is actually the next step. And this is the greatest part, I think, for me as a coming from the pedagogics area. And so it's how to use AI to get on a new level with your learning. Before I talk too much here, let's give the microphone to Greg. But first, one thing, don't forget to go to the newsletter, argoberlin.com/newsletter, and subscribe for all the podcast episodes. And yeah, let's go right in. It's Dietmar from argo.berlin giving the microphone to Greg Schoff.
So, I can talk a lot about Greg Schoff, and that would be mostly boring for you. So the easiest thing is I just give the microphone to Greg. First of all, thank you to have you on the podcast here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
It will be fun. But first of all, tell us, you and AI, how did you make it into AI? What was your reason to do AI?
Sure. Simple story, really. I'm 63. I type with 2 fingers. And on February the 1st, 2023, I played with ChatGPT Plus. That's when GTP Plus was released. And I thought, wow, okay, this is the way I'm going to be able to keep working. And I want to keep working for 10 more years. And I live and work in Silicon Valley. It's the most ageist place in the world. If you're not 28 wearing a hoodie, you're an idiot. And so I just thought, okay, this will be my cognitive edge. And as you know, our language abilities actually improve as we age, but our fluid processing abilities, our cognitive abilities as relates to speed and processing actually decline starting at the age of 50. And then and that decline gathers steam, if you will, after the age of 60. So that's me. So I thought, okay, this is what I'll use. That was the personal reason. The business or professional reason was that I run an online school, and we had initial success in terms of disrupting business schools, in terms of offering online classes that you would normally get from a US business school. But that business was frankly tough to build post-pandemic. We had really benefited from the pandemic in terms of demand, but it's very hard to disrupt education brands, I think around the world, especially in the US. And so, an offering from a business school branded Wharton or Stanford or Columbia, even though it's more expensive and a less effective, a lower quality student experience, just does better when compared to a course offered by Section. No one knows who Section is. And so, the business was growing, but slower than I wanted. And we're venture backed. We have ambitious investors. I have ambitious sort of plans myself and for the company. And when I played with ChatGPT Plus, that moment, I realized that would be the pivot. That would be the wave that I wanted to ride. And specifically, that would be the new career accelerant. We always thought that business education, helping people become better strategists, better leaders, better managers, that is a career accelerant. And whether you do that offline at a business school or online in terms of, online upskilling or executive education, whatever you call it, it's an accelerant. But when I played with ChatGPT Plus, I realized this was a new accelerant, not just for software engineers, but for business people. If they could partner with this co-intelligence, with this new form of capability, effectively, they would be able to accelerate their professional kind of career. So that's when I pivoted the business. I actually taught the first AI class that Section offered, not because I'm the most qualified or I'm not the best teacher, but no one else. There was no one else to teach it because the technology was brand new. So we built a strategy class on how to use AI, how to develop an AI strategy. That was our first class for your team or for your business, and I taught it. Now we have maybe 30 AI courses for business people, taught by all kinds of very well qualified subject matter experts and what we would consider our professional faculty. And so, that was a good move, as you can imagine. It was hard to really, to make the pivot and to give up what we'd already built in terms of our curriculum. But it's clear now, this is the new accelerant for knowledge workers. They will need to learn to work side by side every day, every hour, every task with their AIs. And we intend to be the partner to those ambitious individuals and companies and teams that want to really leverage AI quickly.
Is it, you have 30 classes, but where's the demand? Is it more like basic stuff, like how do I prompt or how do I use the machine? Or is it like you said, strategic or so? What do
Sure.
people want?
Yeah, it's all the above, as you can imagine. First of all, the good news is, and we surveyed 5,000 knowledge workers in Canada, the UK, and the US recently, and 1% of them, we were able to measure their prompting ability. We actually just didn't survey them about their attitudes about AI. We actually asked them to prompt, and then we graded their prompting ability. And so 1% were experts, 8% were proficient, good enough, and the rest were not. And as you can imagine, there were some that were just like, my head's in the sand, I want to ignore this and hope it all goes away, right? Pretty typical sort of adoption curve, if you will, in terms of new technology. So most of us aren't ready and don't have the abilities. So most of us need the basics. So I'd say our AI crash course, getting you up that learning curve from being scared and a novice to being confident and proficient is where we see most demand. But as soon as you're there, you move to what would be advanced, and that would be use cases like thought partnership, how to really, for medium and high stakes decisions, how do you use AI? How do you use AI with personas? How do you role play with AI? Those kind of more advanced use cases. And then immediately people started asking for, what about AI for my job? So this is great. These are all the basic skills, even the advanced skills, but I'm in marketing, I'm in sales, I'm in HR. Give me what I need to know to deploy AI into my use cases and into my daily workflow. So we've built a set of courses now focused on job functions and job levels. So if you're a leader, you need different skills as relates to AI versus maybe an individual contributor. I'd also say something else, Dietmar. We're not going to be training people with AI with courses soon. When you think about the best way to learn is to get hands-on and to interact with some sort of tutor or coach. That's always been the best way to learn. They're one-on-one or small groups at least, but certainly one-on-one, where the coaching or the learning can be more personalized, more direct, more hands-on feedback, if you will. So we are launching ProfAI on March 1st, and ProfAI is an AI-powered coach to teach you AI. And we don't think people will be watching videos or attending live lectures, in a year to learn AI. There has some advantages. There's some community and humanity associated with learning with others in terms of, an online workshop or an in-person workshop. So that's important, and we'll offer that learning modality. But I would expect the bulk of people to learn AI either by just experimenting themselves or using something like an AI coach like ProfAI that can assess them, teach them, reassess them. ProfAI is also going to help you find your use cases. So you'll tell ProfAI what job you're in, what company you work in, what country you're in, and ProfAI will help you understand your use cases and teach you knowing who you are. So the examples that ProfAI will provide, or the challenges that ProfAI will provide to the student to test their abilities, will be relevant to that person. It will not be one size fits all, which is the way you make education cheap, is you do one size fits all. That's what most of online learning is. The way you make education great is to make it personalized. AI can do both. And our estimates of our cost to train someone using ProfAI is about $1 of what we call inference cost. So the cost that we will bear to pay for the AI to support these conversations, these interactions with ProfAI, looks like it will cost us between $1, $1.50. That means I can really price ProfAI very affordably for individuals who want to figure it out themselves, or obviously for teams or organizations. So I just think we should think about learning, Dietmar, as converging with coaching. If you think about today, we have sort of coaching as a way we support our employees and ourselves, right? Professional coaches, that kind of, it's a more expensive solution. And we have learning, we have upskilling, we have taking classes. When you think about sort of employees, I believe those two modalities are going to merge in the next couple, 3 years, and AI coaches will be teaching most of what we need to know around how to be a better manager, or how to accomplish a certain task, or how to build a business plan, or how to do a competitive analysis. Why watch videos to learn how to do that, or sit in a lecture? Why not just start working with your coach on the competitive analysis, right? And get coached while doing. So I think that is really the future of upskilling. The example I use, Dietmar, is how to have a difficult conversation. It's a very popular course. You see it in almost every learning system, right? How to have a difficult conversation. And it means typically watching 20 or 30 minutes of a lecture, or, and then maybe practicing. Again, we're not going to do that. Why would you do that? Just role play with your AI, right? Like just talk to your AI about the difficult conversation that you need to have. It might be with a customer, it might be with an employee about a performance review, it might be with your spouse or one of your kids, and just role play the conversation. It'll be faster, more personalized, just a better way to get ready for that conversation. So when you think about management topics, all those kinds of topics, we're going to role play. We're not going to watch video to learn how to do it.
This is so interesting. I started in 2016. I started with webinars. It was like the forefront of everything. Really, the tools were like, so compared to what we have now. And that was great because you were, the location was not important anymore. Then
Right.
with COVID hitting, everybody was doing webinars, and we were the next step. But now we reached probably the end of that, because it's always someone talking to 30 people or whatever, and it's what you said, it's like not personal. And now we can go to the personal level, teach really, and like not only teach that, but this is so interesting, because it goes away from teaching to coaching, or to even more to playing, to if I know I have, what you said, a complicated partner to talk to, the difficult conversation, I know probably something about the person I have to talk to, so I can create an AI that mimics the guy, or so I have to talk to. And great.
That's very heavy. I just hosted a webinar with Reid Hoffman just an hour ago. Over 1,000 people on the webinar, and those are still great because they're conversations with someone, and you can learn from them. And by the way, the chat was as valuable probably as the conversation, all the great conversation happening in chat. So that's the value of humans. Bring a bunch of humans together, 10, 20, or 30, as many as 1,000, and that's a valuable experience. But for learning, where you need to acquire a skill, like how to have a difficult conversation, you're right. I think we'll move on from sort of Zoom-based or video-based lectures, and where location didn't matter, and it'll be a conversation with our AIs to coach us on how to do these things. And we have to get comfortable then sharing a lot with the AI. So one of the things that we need to be able to do is share with our AI, both personally and our data, our business plan, our marketing plan. I do feel there's an inappropriate level of concern, quite frankly, about sharing information with AI and about data privacy. There are settings you can set so that your information is not training the AI model. So that's the first thing we should all do, is just in every one of our AIs, turn that off. And so your data is not being used to train their model. They don't need our data. They're not going to monetize our data. Our data is a drop in the ocean of data that these models need, to be trained and operate. So I really encourage people to really be thoughtful around, is it really a data risk? My point of view is it's much less of a risk than the media make out, and that the benefit of sharing with AI outweighs what little risk there is. Meaning, we just get better interactions with AI. We get more help from AI when we're working with our situation, our information, our content. So I upload my cancer scans I upload my tumor reports, and I upload my business plans. And I really, I just make sure my data privacy setting is turned on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I get a lot of value from AI by doing that.
This is really a big point for all the people out there. There are the settings you can go in and you can say, please don't train with my data. Just turn that off. That's easy. And I talked to Greg before we started the interview about DeepSeek. If your data goes to China, you might be a little bit more careful with what you do.
Sure, absolutely. And I would expect we'll see soon. I think we're going to see a lot of things related to DeepSeek soon. One of which is we might learn that, in fact, that wasn't the true training cost of that model, that they had spent a lot of money before in terms of training their model. This is the R1 reasoning model from DeepSeek. We'll also probably learn that they may have borrowed some results from OpenAI and others. And so, I think there's more to this story. We're also going to see probably, therefore, although the concern about China and kind of geopolitical, the kind of race we're in at a country or nation level, I think that's heated up, and I think that we'll probably see some perhaps U.S. restrictions on what DeepSeek and other Chinese models are allowed to do in the U.S. in terms of, we don't want our data going back to China. I think that's clear now. We probably didn't want TikTok for the last 15 years influencing our elections either. And so I think the last thing we'll see from DeepSeek, or the impact of DeepSeek, is the cost of AI just coming down even further. It's clear now that with different techniques, we can get AI to perform quickly, well, at lower cost. And that's good, meaning the more AI, from my perspective, that's good. The more AI, the more we have a chance to sort of integrate it into our lives faster, and frankly, have some agency in all of this. I don't want to be a lab rat. I want to have agency in what's about to happen, and the way to have agency is to be using these tools, I think, intimately and frequently. And so we can really understand how they affect us and how we work with them, and how we are augmented. And not everyone will get augmented. Some will get replaced. I know that. So I'm not naive about the impacts of AI. But I really think we all need personally to understand how these tools will augment us, and so we have a point of view about them, and for our teams as well, and our organizations.
In our rep call, you told me how you start integrating AI in your life. Could you go into the details there? Because I found it really interesting for all the people out there how to really do AI.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll start with my setup, and my setup includes now, and this is a new development, an AI screen, and I'm looking at it when I look over there to my third screen on my desktop, and that's a vertical orientation monitor where I have a browser open, and three tabs, which is Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Claude from Anthropic. So those are my three favorite AIs. They are what I call my strategic SWAT team. And so they're on a sort of a dedicated monitor where I find it easier to work looking at that monitor with my AI, and then bring the output of AI into my main monitor, if you will, into my main workspace, and into my documents, into my presentations, into my business plans. So that's been an experiment in reducing friction for me, and providing these easy access workspaces with my AI. Same for my phone. Obviously, I use ChatGPT on my phone, and I've replaced probably an hour a week of time I spend listening to podcasts. I've replaced that with time talking with ChatGPT. And so that, again, lowers friction to AI in terms of using voice. I can do it in the car, I can do it while commuting, and allows me to control the conversation and guide the conversation based on what I want to learn. I'm about to put some iPads around the house, again, as a test. And I'll make those basically AI iPads, and we'll just load just the AI apps on those iPads and make it easy to activate AI either through Siri, the Apple Assistant, or just directly with ChatGPT voice. So I'm trying to lower friction, and I think about AI as a partner in three ways. A creative partner. I don't do much creative work, but occasionally I need an image, or I need, a visual for a presentation. So AI is plenty good enough in that use case because I'm not an artist, right? And then as a grunt work or a manual labor partner, those tasks that are repetitive, they're boring, I have to do them. And if I can get an assist from my AI, it adds up in terms of value. Any one task is not that significant, but if AI is helping with a lot of those tasks, the aggregate value or gain I get from AI is significant. And then the last way is as a thought partner. And these are the medium to high stakes decisions that we make in life, at home and at work. And really, all those decisions now I run through AI. I've had to remind myself to use AI. I didn't grow. I'm not AI native. I grew up like
Nobody
you.
is basically.
Yeah, no one is except these kids coming out of high school now, who, by the way, are being accused of cheating when they're at school, and then of course when they graduate from college, we want them to be fully AI enabled, and so we're happy they were apparently cheating at school, because we need them to be ready from day one if they join our company to work with AI. But yeah, I use AI as a thought partner. I have to remind myself to use AI as a thought partner sometimes because I'm not AI native. So I used to use a Post-it note on my monitor that said, "What does AI think?" I've now replaced that with this third monitor I talked about. And so AI is front and center for me. So it's hard to forget to use it. By the way, I ask that question all the time internally with the companies that I work with, meaning when employees are coming to me with business plans or ideas or projects or any request, I always ask them, what does AI think? And if you do that for a few weeks or a couple months, inside your teams, that will begin to shift the culture. Because we don't have a habit of working with AI. Some of us are explicitly avoiding it because it scares us. It creates anxiety and so on. I understand that, and I'm sympathetic to that. But if you want to begin to shift your own thinking, and then that of your team, ask that question: what does AI think? And I would argue that almost every decision it'll be improved in some way. Maybe not significantly. You're not going to do what AI tells you to do as a second medical opinion. I'm not suggesting that. But you'll probably learn a little bit more about that decision and maybe think about something you hadn't thought about when you ask AI.
Yeah, but even with the medical thing, there's Chris Penn. He's like one of my gurus. I listen to all the stuff he does, and he went into medical. And the thing is, he did prompt the AI well to have everything prepared for the people. So it's like to learn to work with it. And so, but coming to one term, I really like this idea of a thought partner. So there's assistant, co-pilot, whatever. Those are. I don't know, it's marketing terms, I would say. It's like it's nothing that connects to people, but thought partner is really a thing that connects to me because yeah, I can think with the AI. Yeah.
That's right. And also you can think with your AI, asking your AI to be a certain kind of thought partner, right? You can ask AI to think like you. You can ask AI to challenge you, right? Challenge my thinking. You can ask AI to think about this from a perspective that you just don't have. Maybe based on location, country, culture, whatever it might be, right? So I think that this idea of AI as thought partner, you're right, is a really valuable sort of use case and way to think about AI, and then extend it, or when you use it actually hands-on, ask AI to really play these different roles. I use AI as a board member, and I've been doing this now for almost a year and a half. We send AI the same board deck that we send our humans. We have a 5-person board, very experienced board. That's the best board I've ever had. I've started over 6 companies, and so now 7. So this is a great board that I have in terms of their experience building companies. But when we send the same pre-read to AI that we send the humans, and then compare what the board says, the human board says, when we compare it to AI, which we do in preparation for the meeting, the AI has scored between 85 and 93% when compared to the humans. That's incredible. I mean, this AI is only 2 years old. And so it presumably will get better and better in terms of scoring. It will never replace a human board. And human boards do other things. They provide contacts and introduce, to your network. Human boards write checks if they're investors, right? AI is not yet writing checks. So, I need my investors. I need my board members, at least the ones that write the checks. But I think this shows that, particularly for a first-time board member, if you're a first-time CEO, rather, if you're or both, if you're a first-time CEO, a young founder, and this is your kind of first time managing a board and getting ready for board meetings as a founder, as an entrepreneur, then use AI to get ready for that meeting. And same as if you've been invited on a board, a nonprofit board, a community board, in your church, a company board, and if this is new to you, use AI as your thought partner before the first board meeting, and then everyone after. Yeah.
I know the tension. The board meeting is up and you're like really nervous. You try to prepare everything and you have this subjective optimization. You don't know what the people really want, how they are. And now you have a way to optimize and prepare for the things they might ask or yeah. So this is really helpful. Yeah. And I think this great. For you have this one level, it's like what you say for the board. How is it with teams or with employees, like the lower level? So we looked up and now we look down.
Sure. I mean, we look down. I think we have to do a couple of things first. First of all, we have to tell our teams, we have to, first of all, accept or embrace this idea ourselves individually that we do have agency in this moment. That in these moments, historically, those who just approach the transition or approach the disruption with a more positive mindset, versus a victim or this is going to be done to me mindset, right? Which is what's happening now. You can see a lot of people sort of feel like they're on, they are the lab rats, or they are the ones where AI is going to be sort of, pushed on them and they'll suffer the consequences. I just think, first of all, as a leader, we have to think about all of us as, no, we have agency. We are going to sort of embrace this and go forward, affecting the outcome in some way, that we'll have some ability to affect the outcome of how we want to use AI and how we will use AI. So that's first. The second is we have to have honest conversations with our teams. We have to say, starting from me as the leader, all of us need to be working with AIs every day, and it will change our jobs. It will change how we spend our day in terms of work. And we don't know all the way that's going to change. We know some of the ways it might change, especially if you're already playing with AI. You can see how your work is changing, your workflows are changing. But I think we need to have an honest conversation around this will change. For some of this, it might change so significantly that our job is impacted. And if that's the case, we'll need to figure that out when that happens. But we need to start this process now. We can't wait. And it's about all of us using AIs to augment ourselves and sort of moving forward in this direction. I think, quite frankly, a lot of leaders don't want to have the conversation. To be that honest and transparent, it can be tough as a leader. And I think it's a little bit like, well, we're deploying AI in these different places. Don't worry about it. We'll see kind of where it goes. And I think employees aren't buying it. I think employees know that these technologies could help them and in some cases create risk for them. It's clear in jobs where we've asked humans to behave like robots. That would be call center, customer service operators. If you think about that job, one way to think about it is we've asked humans to act almost like machines, high volume, highly repetitive work, to be done in a very reliable way. Yeah, not a great job, quite frankly. And in those jobs, we should ask, the robots to do it. I think is the right way to think about it, and then reskill those people for different roles. So first of all, the mindset shift. Second of all, honest conversations with our teams, and then thirdly, as a leader, as a leader of a team, using these tools yourself, and then getting them in the hands of your team, and then listen, just have fun with it. Like, I did this yesterday for a team of 22 young leaders. An hour workshop around, let's talk about all the things on our to-do list. Let's talk about what our day looks like, what our week looks like in terms of tasks, and then say to ourselves, if AI could help here, wouldn't it be great? Where would it be great for AI to help? And when you do that as a team, it becomes a great exercise of revealing to the team, it would be great if these 10 things AI could help with. So then that's where your attention should go, and kind of get going. I really, I don't want people to wait, Dimar. I think more risk comes at the individual level, the team level, and of course at the organization level if we wait. Some can wait longer, meaning they're in highly regulated industries, or they got regulatory protection, or whatever it might be. But certainly in technology companies and industries, which is where I kind of live and work, this is coming fast and creating both opportunity and significant competitive risk. So I think this is time. Let's not think about this too much. Let's get our hands on AI and start using it.
Yeah, yeah. The interesting thing is you said you talk to young entrepreneurs or young leaders, and you have this old ones who wait. And is it really a thing? What do you think is? I mean, I am over 50. You are over 60. So we are on a different level than the people you talked yesterday. Or is it really an age thing? Because what you said, I so love it, to just give it to the people, let them do it. But are the older
I
ones?
think,
Are we older ones afraid?
well, yeah, I think we are. I think. Listen, I think there is, whatever the percentage is, 5 or 10% of any population are going to be more growth mindset oriented, right? More curious, more lifelong learners, if you will. Those kinds of people. I think that sort of personality or type crosses all ages. But the reality is, yeah, when you look at change, over the age of 35, anything this dramatic is viewed as, this is something not natural, or this is something that I'm not sure about, right? So 15 to 35 is, this is how it is, and I'll figure this out. And then the 0 to 15 is, they're not even aware yet, but they are the AI natives, right? They won't know any different. 15 to 35, they know what they had, they know this is different, but they just buy in right away. They just realize this is how they're going to work, or whatever it is. So yeah, no, I think that to some extent this is age related, or leaders who are often older are saying, well, it's not for me. I believe in AI. I think my organization should adopt AI because we'll be more efficient if we do that. But I don't need to, because I do high level work, or I do strategy work, or and again, I think that's a mistake, in part because I think AI can be a great thought partner for any leader. It's also a mistake because walk the walk. If you're running around as a CEO talking about AI, and on earnings calls, with Wall Street, or investors, talking about how you're going to be AI powered as an organization, then show up yourself, and and use some AI in your day-to-day life, and if not at work, at least at home. If you can't use AI at work, again, for specific reasons, like regulatory reasons, then use AI at home, and understand that travel planning with AI is a lot better than travel planning without AI.
Yeah. Is it because you say those people, they should walk the walk? Do you, if they come to your classes at section, or if you like talk to them, do you have to motivate them, or do you have to break them?
It's a great question. I think it's based. You got two basic levers, I think, right? It is fear of irrelevance, or fear of disruption, or optimism about opportunity. And I think basically, I make a judgment call based on who I'm talking to, what industry, what role are they in, what is their company, maybe even what is their country. Like what's going to work better. In some cases, pick healthcare and education. I would argue that healthcare and education are two places where we need AI the most. We need more education cheaper. We need more healthcare more cost effectively. But frankly, those are industries that are massive in terms of percentage of our GDPs, where there isn't a lot of competition. Like the incumbent brands are very safe, right? It's very hard to disrupt education brands. It's very hard to disrupt healthcare brands, hospitals, hospital brands, for example. So, there I think it has to be the optimism of opportunity, because they're hard to disrupt. So if you try to scare them into action, saying, listen, competitors are going to come after you, they don't buy it, because no one's disrupted education yet, at least in the US, in any significant way. I think you have to appeal to the hope of they could educate more kids more cost effectively, and that's good. for everyone, good for them, good for humanity kind of thing. Other industries in Silicon Valley, software companies, it's easier to play that card of, fear of disruption, fear of competition, that if they don't move now, obviously their competitors are already moving, or there's already, 5 guys in a garage doing an AI startup, right? Aiming at the incumbent. So I think it depends on as I said, the industry, the role and so on. It's one of those two, though, I think, motivations, right? It's fear or greed.
Yeah. Exactly. No, but it's interesting to see that it's more like actually this is an interesting thing. Which industries are which verticals are the people coming to you? Is it is this everybody or is it certain?
Yeah, no, I think now it's pretty much everybody. I would say that. I think that's because AI is just being talked about all the time, and maybe too much, so ad nauseum, too much AI hype, but also because the Achilles heel of AI and its superpower is that it is so relevant and sort of capable across almost any domain and any industry. So when you think about job functions inside the enterprise, inside the company, sure, more language intensive job functions first. That means software engineering, that means marketing, PR, corporate communications, and so on. But really all of our job functions inside of a typical company in terms of knowledge work have language intensive tasks and language intensive roles. And then sort of same for industries, right? Again, it's most relevant to software companies first. They can build AI into their products. But when you really sort of zoom out and think about AI's capabilities, you can see almost any product or service will have AI embedded in it in some way, relatively quickly. I like to use this sort of framework, or this idea of interface friction will not be tolerated. And I do use the travel example a lot for consumer it's planning their trip, where there's a lot of interface friction today using a browser and a search engine to plan a 7-week, family vacation, right? Or 7-day family vacation. I wish 7-week, but it's a lot of tabs open, TripAdvisor and Expedia and, all that stuff, right? Just it's painful. And when you do with AI, you realize right away, so much interface friction has been removed. There's interface friction to go to Amazon, right? You are searching and essentially finding product pages, and you're comparing product pages and so on. And, it's just a lot of clicks. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me from the moment I played with ChatGPT, I'm sure the same for you, is we will not tolerate that level of interface friction in the future. We are being trained right now by ChatGPT to expect answers quickly that are accurate. They're not always accurate, but when they become, 100% reliable with almost no interface friction, no cognitive load of sorting through sort of all the tabs and searches and product pages or, blue links I need to click on, it's delivered in this very clean, sort of fast UI. So whether you're an e-commerce site or an internal employee, HR system, just think about all the places, renewing our driver's license. Just think of all the places where we run into kind of digital interface friction. And I think all of those come under immense pressure, if you will, to be reinvented with this sort of AI, chat interface.
Yeah. This is really interesting also for me. I mean, there's this Google is not that easy to use. I mean, it's like
Right.
you have 10 results and it's getting worse because they are spammed with AI.
There's more ads. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's still, we share a lot of responsibility to get to the right answer with Google. So it's not and by the way, going back to age, my kids probably faster switched more search volume to GPT and Perplexity than I did, especially on the phone. I've just watched them and then kind of observed my own behavior. I am starting to switch more myself. So that quicker search, I'm starting to use Perplexity and GPT more. But I think younger kids figured that out faster. They want an answer with less cognitive overhead, right? Their attention spans are so. That's why they love TikTok, right? 7 seconds. Like, yeah, their attention spans are so short
Do they know? Do they use audio or do they type?
They type. Yeah.
So the next step is still to come. It's still to come. It's not yet there.
The next step is going to be audio. The next step after that, and I think it's soon, frankly. And someone showed me a demo of a new Google capability, not available yet to consumers. It's available to developers through an API, but it's an ability to real time feed the AI what you're working on, an audio clip, a video, even just your desktop. Like if you're working on a presentation, and the AI, essentially, you can talk to the AI while it's looking at your screen. So soon our AIs, right now we have to invoke the AI, we have to go to the AI, but we'll soon be in a place, maybe in a year or so, where some of these AIs will be sort of sitting with us, right, on our desktop or listening, almost like standing behind us, looking over our shoulder at what we're working on and kind of helping us without even being asked. I think this is very close.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see that as well. It's like this is like one of the things, a thought partner, but then it's an interactive. This is the next step. It's an agent that
Right.
really does things, and yeah, is more fascinating. But we talked about travel and things like this, and one thing that really interests me is, what would you say is where do you use AI most? What's the use case you have yourself mostly in your mind, or what do you do with AI?
Yeah, as I said, I do pretty much everything with AI at some level. So I would say medical for me is a big one. I have had cancer recently, and so sort of managing cancer and managing all the potential ways to minimize cancer and the growth of cancer. AI is just an incredible resource. As I said, I upload my tumor report, I upload my blood work to AI, and we'll sort of have a conversation with AI about it. And I ask AI to adopt different personas, or adopt the persona of a Mayo Clinic oncologist, adopt the persona of an integrative oncologist, which means a non-traditional, right, an alternative medicine oncologist, getting obviously different answers at that point. So it's just so easy to do with AI. So that's one example. At work, it really is almost any decision where I feel like I can use it. I'll benefit from a different angle of approach to the problem, right? A different sort of perspective on it. What I have seen recently, Dietmar, is that I think these AIs are getting better at brainstorming and then collaborating on writing. I would say most of us were disappointed, and so the writing output of AI is very generic. No, part of that was operator error. We weren't prompting in the right ways, right? We weren't pushing the AI. But I've been collaborating with Claude recently on what I would consider fairly complex topics, essays that I'm working on that I want to publish in the next few months. And I've been impressed, sort of updated my impressions of Claude as a thought partner around producing really unique output, a unique point of view. I'll start with the seed of an idea, and I find Claude really able to work with me and take it much closer to a first draft than ever before. So again, I think these models are improving in different ways.
Yeah, Claude is. I love Claude. This is just like with writing and everything, and this is really, he or she or it is really good at it. It's like a thing. So I have the last question, and I have to tell the listeners that mostly I prepare my people to what's coming. But Greg, I have a question for you. How probable do you think is a Terminator or Matrix scenario where the AI takes over?
Yeah, I don't think that's likely. I mean, I think that clearly we will have more than one incidence of AI going haywire in some way, but likely contained to, I don't know, an electrical grid, a factory, like some sort of special built AI will likely go haywire in some setting where it will give us a wake up call around, how do we manage these more agentic AIs in these specific sort of use cases? No, I think that this idea of Terminator or the robots coming for us, it's what sells It's what gets clicks online. It's just a narrative that we can that we can understand as humans, right? We imbue our AI with human abilities, and so it allows us to understand them in some way. And of course, it's alarming and fantastical. So those are good stories to tell because it gets us to click and read about it. I do think that more and more drones are coming. I do think more and more robots are coming, and I think, and frankly, China is leading the way on both, far outpacing the U.S. and Europe in terms of the ability to cost effectively build sort of mechanized AI. So I think we'll see more and more of those in our lives, not just, I currently see it at the mall or the parking lot where there's the bot on wheels that has cameras all around it, and it's primarily focused on security and safety. But we're going to see more of those. But no, listen, I think that our future is us telling the AI companies, because this is a business, and they won't be able to pay for all the NVIDIA chips they're buying and all the computer centers they're building and all the energy they're consuming. They won't be able to pay for all that unless companies and consumers pay for AI. So, the market, I think, does win here in terms of we need to tell these companies what kind of AIs we want and what will we find valuable and what will we pay for, because that's the only way this ever works as a business. And so, that's the future I see in the next 10 years. AIs that are really tuned to what we need and want, because that's what we're going to pay for. And that's how all this works.
I love that because if you see the typical James Bond, there's the evil guy stroking his cat, but he doesn't have 100,000 NVIDIA chips behind on that.
Right.
Just to be evil, you have to have a lot of money to invest in it.
It's a lot of money to invest. Notwithstanding what DeepSeek is saying, I think it's actually hundreds of millions of dollars. And by the way, the evil guy who's stroking a cat doesn't have 1 million or 10 million customers who he has to keep happy, and that's what these AI companies need to focus on. We need them to keep their models secure. As obviously, even the open source models, in terms of their access to data, that if in the wrong hands would be a problem. But I think, yeah, I don't want that to distract us. I think all those sort of narratives are distracting and are kind of hurtful to us, meaning people here today on the ground that need, and I want them, your listeners, to get their hands on AI and begin to play with it and understand how it will change how they get their job done. Because I think that's more of an immediate concern to me, is us, the humans, not being ready for these technologies.
Yeah. This is really like we humans love stories. It's the basic thing, and we follow stories. But the rational thing, and we also had that. The question is, how can people use stuff? Do they have the structure? We have to teach them. And actually, you're on the business definitely of teaching people how to use those tools, and it's much more important to use them right. Yeah. So
in this moment, for sure.
Yeah. One last thing is, where can we find you? Where can we connect to you?
Sure, sectionschool.com, and I'll provide a discount code for your audience. Dietmar will put it in the show notes. So you're part of the extended family now. So we'll provide a discount code for your listeners, and they'll get access to all of our AI courses and our events and tools as well, to help people get up that learning curve. We have an expression here in the U.S., maybe also in Europe. Don't bounce off AI. A lot of people play with AI and then they bounce off it because they get stuck, or the AI hallucinates, or it doesn't impress them right away. And so don't bounce off. And if you use YouTube or Section or any other, or a friend to sit you down and coach you, I don't care how you do it, but find a way to get up that learning curve in the next few weeks, and then get your kids up, and then get your spouse or your partner, or I really think, Dietmar, we all have a responsibility. Those of us who have our hands around AI and are comfortable using it and have this sense of agency, that we will be able to manage our way through this transition moment. Then bring someone else along for the ride. Look around to someone else you care for, that you love, that is maybe more hesitant and maybe more concerned or even avoiding it altogether, and offer to help that person. Offer to have coffee with them, or offer to sit them down at lunch and show them. It's really fast in terms of finding a use case that matters to someone. AI can do so many things. If just a good conversation over a cup of coffee, you'll find 2 or 3 use cases that someone can identify, and then show them how to do it right away in the moment. Show them how to have a conversation with their AI about that use case, and get them started on their AI journey. I really think we all have to help each other out.
That is great. That is actually the best thing you can say in the end, because it's all about AI literacy. The people have to use AI. They have to learn it. And if they're afraid, then it's great to take them by their hands and help them get. This is the new world. It's not a joke. Yeah, it's not
going
joke. Away.
Not a joke. It's coming fast. Anything the last week has taught me, and that includes the Trump administration rescinding the Biden administration AI safety guidelines for the United States, rescinded. And then the announcement of Stargate, the $500 billion, really $100 billion initially committed investment in data centers. And then the DeepSeek benchmarks announced. All that tells me, and I asked Reid Hoffman this today, is AI coming faster? And his answer was yes, it's coming now. It's sort of DeepSeek has accelerated the timeline here even more. So this is all coming faster, Dietmar. So whether we want it or not, this AI is, they're turning up in our lives, and so let's have agency.
Great. Let's have agency. That's a great statement. And Greg, thank you for giving us those insights, the thought partner, the having agency. Thank you for being here and teaching us about those things.
Thank you. Yeah, great conversation. I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate you investing your time to get to help your audience.
95% of the people are listening, but the 5% who are viewing, they see I'm getting a little bit flushed and red. But thank you, Greg. So yeah, let's see what the 2025 brings, and I hope to have you back on the show soon again, Greg. Thank you.
Let's do it.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Learning is really the thing that's important. You have to keep up with the new stuff, and Greg is the best example that you can keep up, and it's not a matter of age. Quite the opposite. It's because of age that we have to learn more, because the young ones, they just use AI. We, as the older ones, and I count over 50, I count myself in the same bucket, we have to do something actively, and Section is a good way. And I'm a firm believer, since my old prof said, yeah, books are out, we need new tools for learning. In that time in the 90s was like, he thought about links and like clicking on things and not reading in a book, and having the possibility of adjusting to the level. And this ProfAI thing that Section and Greg came up with, I think that's the future of learning. It's our individual teacher, our individual professor that adjusts to the level, and everybody can have one of those. That will be, if done right, will be a learning explosion, a knowledge explosion. So Greg, thanks Greg again for being here. And you people, don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter, argoberlin.com/newsletter, to get all the episodes and some more stuff about AI. Also, you have a podcast app, hit the follow button, and hope to have you back in the next episode. Signing off, it's Dietmar from argo.berlin.